In the quiet streets of Enfield, North London, nothing ever seemed extraordinary, until one fateful summer that would etch an unforgettable nightmare into the history of a humble council house. Imagine a seemingly ordinary residence where the mundane rhythms of life masked an unseen terror waiting in the shadows. This is the unsettling chronicle of the Enfield poltergeist, a story of creeping dread, inexplicable phenomena, and an atmosphere that thickened with suspense from the very first moment. It began with small anomalies that might have been dismissed as quirks of an old building. Late at night, as the Hodgson family settled into uneasy sleep, a series of soft knocks echoed from within the walls. At first, Peggy Hodgson, the resilient single mother of the household, assumed it was nothing more than the house settling into the cool embrace of the evening. Yet, those rhythmic knocks soon grew erratic, each echo a pulse of anxiety that pulsed in the darkness. The first true sign came on a stormy night when a sudden, oppressive chill swept through the corridors of the home. It wasn't the kind of cold that a shivering draft could explain, it was an icy presence, as if something unseen had extinguished the warmth from the air. In the midst of that frigid moment, a disembodied whisper slithered through the silence, its tone both desperate and sinister. The sound was barely audible, yet every member of the family felt its malevolent intent, as if the voice was beckoning them to witness something unspeakable. As days turned into restless nights, the phenomena escalated. Furniture would inexplicably shift, sliding across the floor with a deliberate, almost taunting motion. Objects levitated briefly in the corners of the rooms before crashing down with startling violence. The household, once a sanctuary, became a stage for events that defied all logic. Neighbors began to murmur about eerie happenings, a window that slammed shut without cause, unexplained footsteps in empty rooms, and fleeting shadows that darted across hallways at impossible speeds. The atmosphere was thick with tension, and the fear that gripped every heart was palpable. Peggy's children, especially the eldest daughter Janet, were the unwilling chroniclers of these unearthly events. Janet, usually a reserved and gentle soul, started speaking in voices that weren't her own. At times, her words carried an ancient cadence, a tone filled with sorrow and warning, as if the spirit behind the voice was trying to impart a grim message. It was during these moments, when her eyes seemed to glow with a spectral light, that the full horror of their situation sank in. The once familiar home had transformed into a labyrinth of shadows and terror, where every creak and rustle could herald another encounter with the unknown. One particularly harrowing night, as the family huddled together for comfort, an ominous presence began to manifest in the living room. The temperature plummeted to an otherworldly chill, and an almost imperceptible whisper filled the room, a litany of dread that vibrated through the walls. In a corner bathed in the dim glow of a single lamp, a vague figure began to take shape. It was not clearly human, yet its form was undeniable, a spectral silhouette that seemed to be both part of the darkness and separate from it. For what felt like an eternity, the figure loomed, its presence heavy with unsaid words and unfulfilled promises of horror. Then, as suddenly as it had appeared, it dissolved into the night, leaving the family paralyzed with terror and a silence more deafening than any sound. Desperation mounted. With the phenomena growing bolder and more intrusive, Peggy reached out for help. Paranormal investigators and members of the Society for Psychical Research arrived at the scene, drawn by the inexplicable events. They set up recording devices and cameras in every conceivable corner, hoping to capture proof of the supernatural. The recordings that followed sent chills down the spines of even the most hardened skeptics, faint, ghostly voices layered over static, objects moving on their own, and unexplained sounds that defied rational explanation. Each new piece of evidence only deepened the enigma, leaving a trail of unanswered questions that bled suspense into every moment. Over time, the case began to attract national attention. Reporters descended on Enfield, turning the once private torment into a public spectacle. The Hodgson house, once a haven, was now an unwilling stage for a mystery that blurred the lines between reality and nightmare. Interviews with the terrified family members, captured on shaky cameras and whispered through trembling voices, painted a picture of relentless dread, a slow, inexorable descent into a world where the natural and the supernatural collided. Every new account, every fresh piece of evidence, built upon the last until the case took on an almost cinematic quality, a relentless buildup of tension that kept everyone on edge. Yet, even as the investigators tried to piece together the puzzle, the true nature of the poltergeist remained elusive. The phenomena did not adhere to any known pattern, nor did they offer a clear explanation for their origin. Instead, they thrived in the liminal spaces between logic and fear, a constant reminder that some mysteries are meant to haunt us. The voices, the shifting furniture, and the sudden, inexplicable chill were not isolated incidents but parts of a greater, sinister whole, a force that had invaded the Hodgson home with an intention that no one could decipher. What made the Enfield poltergeist case so chilling was not just the series of inexplicable events, but the oppressive atmosphere that enveloped every moment. From the first unsettling knock to the final eerie silence, the story was woven with an unyielding sense of suspense. Each day brought new terrors, each night a descent into a darker reality where the ordinary gave way to the extraordinary. And long after the Hodgson family left that cursed house, the legacy of those haunting nights lingered, a reminder that sometimes, the unknown is closer than we dare imagine. So, as you sit in the quiet of your own home, consider the tale of Enfield, a narrative built on fear, uncertainty, and a relentless suspense that refuses to fade away. In every creak of a floorboard, every whisper in the wind, there might just be a trace of that same, inexplicable terror. The Enfield poltergeist is not just a ghost story, it's a testament to the idea that sometimes, the true horror is not in what we see, but in what we feel when the darkness comes alive around us.